Good morning, children. Welcome to the physics class. Today we will do the revision of the chapter Motion in One Dimension. Now, in order to understand the essential concepts of one-dimensional motion, we will first of all go through some of the basic definitions. And the first one being the concept of rest and motion. When an object in order to decide that an object is at rest or in motion, we see its immediate surroundings. For example, if you are sitting right now, then your immediate surroundings like table, chair, bulb, walls, sofa, all these are not moving, and you are also not changing your position with respect to these surroundings, right? So you are said to be at rest. Similarly, when you are traveling in a bus or in a car, then with respect to your immediate surrounding, for example, other passengers sitting with you in the bus, you are not changing your position and hence you are said to be at rest. But if you change the surroundings, if you now consider the poles outside the bus, buildings, trees, etc., then you are changing your position with respect to these things and therefore you are in motion. Another example could be of mountains. Mountains are stationary with respect to us, since they are fixed onto the ground. But they are on the earth, and earth revolves around the sun. So, with respect to sun, these mountains are in motion. And hence, rest and motion are relative terms. Okay? So we can't say in an absolute terms that a body is at rest or in motion. We can objectively say that an object is at rest or in motion with respect to immediate surroundings. And hence is the definition of these two terms. Okay? So when we have understood the concept of motion here, so we can define motion in one dimension. That means when the position of the object changes with respect to its immediate surrounding on a straight line. One dimension means the body is moving along a straight line. Right? So we will be focusing on motion that is taking place along a straight line only, right? Now let us go further and look into the two more physical quantities, distance and displacement. Distance is nothing but the length of the path covered by the body. It is a numerical value, that means it is a number which is called its magnitude, and therefore this makes distance a scalar quantity because it is going to tell us only the number of, that is the length of the path traveled by the body. On the other hand, displacement is defined as the shortest distance between 2 points, initial and final position of the body. There can be many paths from one point to another, but distance is the shortest of all the paths between the two positions, right? Which is always a straight line. Remember this. If you want to find the shortest distance between 2 points, then the best is that you draw a straight line between those 2 points, and the length of that straight line will give you the shortest distance, which is displacement. Therefore, it describes how far 2 points are from each other. Okay? And how do you find that? That how far are those 2 points? You simply find the change in position. Okay? By taking out the difference between the initial and the final position of the body. It not only describes the magnitude, it not only tells the magnitude of the distance covered, shortest distance covered, but also the direction. Always remember, children, in order to get a complete description of the position of a body, we need to know the direction of motion also. And this is given only by displacement and not distance. Distance only tells us the magnitude, but displacement tells us the magnitude and direction both, and hence is a vector quantity. The SI and CGS units are known to you, meter and centimeter respectively. If I take an example of a body which is initially at point A and then it goes to point B. Let's say the shortest distance between 2 points is 5 meter. That means 5 meter is the displacement of the body from point A to point B, right? Now, if the same body comes back to point A, right? Now the direction of the motion of the body is opposite. So how do we say this? We will say this, that the displacement of the body from point B to point A is again 5 meters. But mentioning the displacement value in this way is not convenient. So we assign positive and negative sign. If I am assigning the value 5 meter to be positive when going from A to B, so when the body is coming from B to A, I will give it a negative value. So if I am saying the displacement of the body from one point to another, that means from A to B is minus 5 meter, that simply means the body is moving in opposite direction. Okay? And hence displacement can be negative as well as positive. However, distance is always positive because it is not direction defined. It is only the magnitude which we are concerned when we calculate distance and not the direction. So it is always positive. So distance from point A to point B is 5 meters. Displacement is also 5 meters, but if I am saying displacement is minus 5 meters, that means the motion is opposite to the previous one. One more thing, children, displacement is 0. That means displacement can be 0 also, and this happens only when the body comes back to its original position. So if I ask you the same question, what is the total distance traveled by the body between these 2 points? So you'll simply say, while going from A to B, the distance traveled was 5 meters, and coming from B to A, the distance traveled was 5 meters. So distance overall is how much? 10 meters. But if I ask you what is the displacement of the entire of the body in the entire motion, it has gone to point B from A and then returned to point A, then calculate its resultant displacement or total displacement, then you simply will write that displacement is 0 because total displacement or resultant displacement, children. Okay. So total displacement is 0 because the body comes back to its original position. I think I have made myself clear. From between 2 points A to B, 5 meter displacement, B to A is minus 5. But for the entire motion, it is total displacement is 0. So Distance can be greater than or equal to displacement but never less than. Fine. Similarly, we will be able to explain now the difference between speed and velocity. Distance upon time gives us speed. It is only described by magnitude, that means a number and hence a scalar quantity. On the other hand, velocity is displacement upon time. Since displacement is direction as well as magnitude oriented and hence velocity is also same, described by magnitude and direction both, and this makes it a vector quantity. The units are meter per second and centimeter per second in CGS and in SI and CGS respectively. Now one important thing is that the average speed of a body can never be zero, but average velocity is zero or can be zero, right? So how do you calculate average speed? Average speed is total distance upon total time. However, average velocity is total displacement upon total time. It is also given as u plus v upon 2 in certain cases. I mean, sometimes when we have the final velocity and initial velocity both, then we find average velocity by taking out the sum of these two velocities and divided by 2. So what I am saying is that average speed can never be zero, but average velocity can be zero. For example, if a body is moving in a circular path, right? So let's say the initial point was here at point A and the body is covering the entire path. So how do you find average speed? You will find the total distance traveled, which is nothing but the circumference of the circle, divided by time. So you'll get some number. But if you have to find average velocity, then you will have to find the total displacement. Now tell me, when the body comes back to its original position, total displacement will be how much? It will be 0. And hence average velocity will be 0. So this difference you keep in your mind when you will solve numericals based on this.